After a child is sexually abused, he experiences severe and long-term psychological consequences because they end up feeling depressed, suicidal. They experience sexual dysfunction, self-injurious behaviors, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and all that also increases their likelihood of being re-victimized again in childhood, later in life, during teenage years, or even in adulthood. They are at a very high risk compared to somebody who hasn't been abused as a child. They are 35 times more likely to be victimized again sexually. And the reasons are, well, mainly a couple of things. One, shame and self-blame. The child, when has been sexually abused, thinks that they deserve what happened to them, that they probably caused that abuse, and then they feel that they don't deserve to be loved unconditionally. And that's a problem in itself, and also because potential perpetrators sometimes look for those kind of victims that they perceive vulnerable. Another reason that increases the risk for being re-victimized is the maladaptive coping strategies that children who are abused as sexually experience later in life. In order to cope with the abuse, they will use alcohol or engage in substance abuse to deal with the pain. They self-medicate themselves that way. The problem is that that's a vicious circle. You are sexually abused as a child, you end up abusing drugs, but that puts you at a very high risk of being re-victimized again because you're vulnerable too. And finally, the severity of the abuse when you're a child and you're sexually being abused sexually is also a predictor for re-victimization based on whether there was force in the abuse, whether there was penetration, whether there were threats, whether the abuser was a loved one or a person that the child used to trust, because that has very long-lasting consequences. Again, they think that that's the only type of interactions that they deserve, that they are going to have, and that probably are normal and expected for them to experience later in life. They will lower their guard, and they will be at a much higher risk of being re-victimized.